Greetings, YouTube. This is going to be a rough one. So if you have issue with the sensitive topics of child abuse, specifically child sexual abuse, skip it. Um, I couldn't because while this particular article doesn't connect directly to my life, I was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse from persons outside my family. And I can tell you at 59, that sense of violation, that sense of betrayal still exists. But I can no way fathom what a person would go through if their abuser were their own family member. And the article I'm looking at right here says DNA sequencing services reveal unexpected prevalence of incest. An unexpected side effect of genealogical DNA sequencing has been revealing something of a true dimension of the population of children born of incest. In almost all cases where both parents can be identified, the father is either the girl's father or an older brother. I suggest looking at the archive link. The original article has a subscription thing, which I find annoying. So apparently, at one time, incest was considered to be one of those 1 in a million kind of situations. Yet, every culture on the planet has a taboo against incest. All of them. And a culture doesn't have a taboo for something that happens 1 in a million times. It just doesn't, because there's no reason for it. You only have taboos about things that are common, because you're trying to reinforce to the general cultural population that you shouldn't do this thing. And you're not saying that to somebody unless you think that there's a big chance that this may enter their life in some capacity during their lived experience. So the true numbers that may be correct now, it's difficult to get the information because of obviously the nature of what's going on. It may be one in a 7,000. 1 in 7,000. That's not 1 in a million, folks. That's a that's a really small number. I mean, think about what's the population of where you live. How many people right now are walking around who were born as the product of childhood rape? A child raped by their father or by their brother. Can't it's I think that would be uh, deservedly described as an indescribable, inconceivable idea. Trying to wrap your head around that. And I unfortunately know people who've lived it. And it's terrifying. But we have those taboos for a reason now, don't we? Now, the article discusses a man who discovered that is, in fact, his history. That his mother abandoned him at a hospital at 14 after having given birth. Her parents brought her in. All of them were using fake names. Um, and he spent a good chunk of his life trying to find her. And at 40, thanks to DNA sequencing, he was able to narrow down her identity and discover that, in fact, her father, his father, would have been one of her family members. And that was the only explanation that would make any sense genetically. Um, she never actually contacted him. He reached out, um, but did not, pursue it any further. She has the opportunity to contact him if she wants, and she has chosen not to. I can't imagine that that would be a pleasant memory to talk to the person that exists because you are a rape victim, um, particularly from your father or your brother. But we've been downplaying this kind of thing forever. we have been not believing children, not believing women, because it's convenient, because people don't want to face that taboo. And it's deeply disturbing. It's repulsive. And what are the ramifications to those men? None. There's no ramifications. How many of them have ever been brought to justice? I'm sure it's a handful, if that. They got away with it. They chose a victim that they could have complete control over. They abused them, and then they left them with a legacy that could haunt them forever. That is a crime, an act of such depravity that there isn't any way of tackling that from a perspective of justice. How do you do that? I would like to say that I'm above a emotional response when it comes to that kind of situation, but I'm not. It it brings me to rather dark and unpleasant thoughts. But those men got away with it. And the ones that commit those rapes today are probably going to get away with it. And the ones that commit those rapes in the future are probably going to get away with it. And that's disgusting. Listen to girls. Listen to women. Pardon me. And believe the numbers. Look at the DNA. And I wish there was justice.